You have come here seeking a secret, a prayer that promises to deliver wealth in mere moments. But the path to true abundance is never a shortcut. The most valuable treasure is not what you seek, but what you will understand by the end of this journey. What you learn in our final moments together will unlock a richness you never knew was possible. Do not turn away. Seeking wealth. So, you have arrived here. Welcome. You have been drawn by a title, by a promise of money appearing as if by magic within 2 minutes. Let us first acknowledge this desire. There is no shame in it. The world we have built is one where security, freedom, and even the ability to care for our loved ones seem to depend entirely on this concept we call money. It is a powerful energy, a current that flows through our society, and it is natural to wish for more of it to flow towards you, especially when you feel a sense of lack, of struggle. You are not alone in this feeling. It is a deeply human experience to seek relief from pressure. The promise of money in 2 minutes is alluring because it speaks to a part of our mind that craves instant gratification. The modern world trains this part of the mind relentlessly. Fast food, instant messages, next-day delivery. We have become accustomed to collapsing the time between desire and fulfillment. But in doing so, we have weakened a vital spiritual muscle, the muscle of patience, of process, of cultivation. A bamboo farmer does not see a shoot for many years. He waters the ground, tends to the soil, and trusts in the process. Is he doing nothing in those years? No, he is building the foundation. The growth, when it comes, is explosive, but it is built upon a long period of unseen, dedicated work. So, when we see a title like this, our first practice is not to lean into the desire, but to observe it, to look at this part of ourselves that wants the shortcut, to greet it with compassion, but not to let it steer our ship. What is this part of you? It is the child within, the part that feels scared, that feels insecure. It believes that an external thing, money, will be the magical cure for this internal feeling of unease. But have you ever received something you desperately wanted, only to find that the joy was fleeting and the unease returned, perhaps attaching itself to a new object of desire? This is the nature of grasping. It is a hungry ghost that is never satisfied. The prayer you are seeking is not one that feeds the ghost. It is one that helps you understand it, and in understanding allows it to be at peace. Let us begin this journey not by looking outward for a prayer, but by turning our attention inward. The wealth you seek is available to you right now in this very moment, but you cannot see it because your attention is fixed on a specific idea of what wealth must look like. You are like a person standing in a beautiful sun-drenched forest, complaining that they cannot find a specific single candle. The purpose of our time together is to help you see the sun, to help you realize that the light you seek is already and has always been all around you, and most importantly, within you. This is the foundation from which all true abundance flows. It is not magic, it is a shift in perception, and that is where our work begins. Understanding desire. What is it that we are truly asking for when we say, I want more money? Let us dissect this. Go deeper than the paper bills, deeper than the number on a screen. If I were to give you $1 trillion, but you had to spend it all on a barren rock, alone, with no way to leave, would you feel wealthy? Of course not. So, the money itself is not the goal. It is a symbol. It is a tool that we believe will grant us something else. For some, that something is security. The feeling of being safe, of knowing there is a roof over your head and food for your family. This is a fundamental noble desire. It is the desire for a stable foundation. For others, money represents freedom. The freedom to leave a job you dislike. the freedom to travel and see the world, the freedom to choose how you spend your most precious resource, your time. This too is a beautiful aspiration. It is the desire to be the author of your own life story, not merely a character in someone else's, and for some, perhaps money represents power or status, the ability to influence, to be seen, to be respected. This desire is more complex, often rooted in a feeling of not being enough, a need for external validation to quiet an inner critic. Each of these is a pointer, a clue to the state of our inner world. The problem arises when we collapse all of these deep, nuanced human needs into the single, narrow symbol of money. When we do this, we give our power away to that symbol. We begin to believe, I cannot feel secure until my bank account reaches X amount, or I cannot be free until I have enough money to quit my job. We create a prison for ourselves, and we hand the key to an external condition that is often outside of our immediate control. We chain our present moment well-being to a future uncertain outcome. This is the definition of suffering. The true practice, the real prayer, begins with untangling these threads. Sit with yourself in stillness. Ask yourself with genuine curiosity, what is the feeling I am chasing? If it is security, where can I cultivate a sense of security right now, independent of my finances? Perhaps it is in the reliability of your own breath, the constant rhythm of your heart. Perhaps it is in the trust you have in your own ability to adapt and to solve problems. You have survived every single challenge of your life up to this point. That is a track record of profound resilience. That is a source of security that no one can ever take from you. If the feeling you chase is freedom, then ask, where can I experience freedom today? Can I find freedom in a 5-minute walk where I choose which path to take? Can I find freedom in my thoughts by choosing not to engage with the ones that cause me pain? Can I find freedom by releasing my attachment to how things should be and accepting them as they are? Freedom is not a destination you arrive at once you have enough money. Freedom is a state of mind. It is the release from the self-imposed prison of our own rigid expectations and desires. The wealthiest person in the world can be a prisoner to their own anxieties, while a person with very little can be profoundly free in their spirit. Which of these is true wealth? Defining prayer. Now, let us turn to the idea of a prayer. In the common understanding, a prayer is a request sent outward. We ask a deity, the universe, some external agency to intervene on our behalf. Please, give me this. Please, solve this problem for me. This positions us in a passive, supplicant role. It reinforces the idea that the power lies elsewhere. While the intention behind it may be sincere, the framework itself can be disempowering. It is like a boatman, sitting in his boat and praying for the wind to take him to the other shore without ever picking up the oars that are right there in front of him. Let us redefine prayer. Let us look at it not as an act of asking, but as an act of alignment. A prayer in its most potent form is the conscious and deliberate cultivation of a specific inner state. It is the process of aligning your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical being with the reality you wish to experience. It is not about changing the world outside of you through magical words. It is about changing your inner world, which then inevitably changes how you perceive and interact with the world outside. When you change, the world changes, because you are your world. Imagine your mind is a garden. If the garden is filled with the weeds of anxiety, fear, and a sense of lack, what do you expect to grow there? The seeds of opportunity, abundance, and peace will have no soil in which to take root. They will be choked out by the weeds. A prayer in this context is the act of tending to your garden. It is the daily, moment-to-moment practice of pulling the weeds of negative thought patterns. It is the conscious act of planting seeds of gratitude, clarity, and compassion. It is the watering of these seeds with your focused attention. So what does this prayer look like in practice? It might not involve any words at all. It might be the simple act of sitting in silence for 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, your only goal is to observe your thoughts without judgment. To notice the frantic energy of I need, I want, I lack, and to simply let it be without feeding it. This act of non-engagement is profoundly powerful. You are no longer a slave to the thought. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which the thought arises and passes away. This is the beginning of inner mastery. The prayer could be an act of gratitude. Instead of focusing on what is missing, you intentionally shift your focus to what is present. The air you are breathing, the body that is supporting you, the light entering your eyes, even the smallest things, the taste of a sip of water, the warmth of a blanket. By focusing on what you have, you align your entire being with the energy of abundance. The feeling of enough is a frequency. When you vibrate at that frequency, you begin to notice the enoughness that is everywhere. This is not a trick, it is a fundamental law of consciousness. Your reality is shaped by what you place your attention on. A prayer is the conscious directing of that attention. Inner riches. We have been conditioned to measure wealth with a single metric, currency. We equate a large number in a bank account with a successful life. But this is a very narrow and impoverished view of what it means to be rich. A person can have all the money in the world and be spiritually bankrupt, emotionally desolate, and physically unwell. Is this person truly wealthy, or are they merely a guardian of a treasure they cannot enjoy? It is like dying of thirst while sitting on a locked chest full of water bottles. The potential is there, but it is inaccessible. Let us now explore the concept of inner riches. This is the wealth that cannot be counted, cannot be stolen, and cannot be lost in a market crash. It is the only form of wealth that is truly permanent because it is a part of your being. What are these riches? The first and most valuable is a calm and clear mind. Consider the immense value of this. A mind that is not constantly tormented by anxiety, regret, or worry. A mind that can face challenges with equanimity and make decisions from a place of wisdom, not panic. How much money would you pay to have such a mind? This is a fortune beyond measure, and it is available to you not through acquisition, but through training. Another inner treasure is a healthy and vital body. Our body is the vessel through which we experience this entire life. To have energy, to be free from chronic pain, to be able to move with ease and grace, this is an extraordinary form of wealth. We often take it for granted until it is gone. But by consciously caring for your body, through mindful movement, proper nourishment, and adequate rest, you are cultivating a profound richness. This physical vitality allows you to engage with the world, to serve others, and to enjoy the simple sensory pleasures of being alive. This is wealth. Then there is the richness of your relationships and your connection to the world. To be able to give and receive love, to have friends with whom you can share your heart, to feel a sense of belonging within a community. This is an abundance that nourishes the soul. It cannot be bought. It can only be cultivated through presence, compassion, and vulnerability. Similarly, a deep connection to nature, the ability to find beauty and awe in a sunset or the pattern of a leaf, this is a source of joy and richness that is freely available to all of us, yet so many are too distracted to notice it. When you begin to shift your definition of wealth to include these inner riches, something remarkable happens. Your sense of lack begins to dissolve. You start to realize that you are already far wealthier than you thought. This realization is not a form of denial or a way of pretending you don't need to pay your bills. On the contrary, this feeling of inner abundance is the very foundation from which material security can more easily grow. When you operate from a place of fullness, not scarcity, you make better decisions. You are more creative, more resilient, more open to opportunity. You stop chasing money out of desperation and start attracting it as a natural byproduct of a well-lived, well-balanced life. Instantaneous change. The promise of 2 minutes is perhaps the most seductive part of the title that brought you here. It speaks to our deep-seated desire for a quantum leap, a sudden and dramatic shift that solves all our problems without the need for sustained effort. We want the transformation without the process. We want the mountain peak without the climb. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of how meaningful change occurs, both in the natural world and in our own lives. Nothing of lasting value is ever created in an instant. A tree does not become a mighty oak in 2 minutes. A master craftsman does not perfect their skill in 2 minutes. A deep and loving relationship is not built in 2 minutes. All of these things are the result of a process. They require time, consistency, pressure, and patience. Our obsession with speed, with the hack or the shortcut, is a form of spiritual immaturity. It is the avoidance of the very process that creates the strength and wisdom we claim to seek. The strength of the oak is not just in its size, but in the memory of all the storms it has weathered. A strength forged over seasons and years. However, there is a way in which the 2 minutes can be understood as a profound truth. While the outcome, the manifestation of a new reality, is a process, the decision to change can be instantaneous. The point of transformation, the pivot, can happen in a single moment. It can happen in the space of a single breath. In this very moment, right now, you can decide to change your relationship with your thoughts. You can decide to no longer be their slave. You can decide to shift your focus from lack to gratitude. You can decide to redefine what wealth means to you. This decision, this turning of the will, can indeed happen in less than 2 minutes. This is the real magic of the 2 minutes. It is not that money will appear externally, but that a seed will be planted internally. It is the 2 minutes you take to step off the hamster wheel of reactive, habitual thinking and consciously choose a new path. It is the 2 minutes you dedicate to sitting with your desire, not to feed it, but to understand its root. It is the 2 minutes you spend looking around you and truly seeing what is here instead of lamenting what is not. This is not a passive prayer. It is a radical act of self-possession. This initial instantaneous shift is the most crucial step. It is the moment the boatman decides to pick up the oars. The journey to the other shore will still take time and effort, but the journey has now truly begun. Without that initial decision, he would remain adrift forever at the mercy of the currents. So, do not dismiss the power of a single moment. Your entire life is a series of moments, and in any one of them, you can awaken. You can choose a different way. The 2 minutes is not a waiting period for an external reward. It is the time you give to yourself to initiate an internal revolution, and you can take those 2 minutes right now. The practice. So, what is the action? What is the tangible practice that replaces the empty recitation of a money prayer? The practice is simple, but it is not easy. It requires consistency and a gentle, compassionate form of self-discipline. It is the work of a lifetime, but it begins today with small, manageable steps. The practice is not one single thing, but a way of being that you cultivate over time. It is the art of tending to your inner garden, day after day. First, begin with stillness. Every day, set aside a few minutes, perhaps just the 2 minutes we have been discussing, to simply be still. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably. You don't need to empty your mind. That is an impossible goal. Your task is simply to observe. Observe your breath moving in and out of your body. Observe the sensations in your hands, your feet, and observe the thoughts as they drift through your mind like clouds in the sky. Do not grab onto them. Do not push them away. Simply notice them. There is a thought of worry. There is a thought of planning. This simple act of observation creates a space between you and your thoughts. In this space lies your freedom. Second, cultivate gratitude. This is an active, conscious practice. At the beginning or end of your day, take a moment to intentionally bring to mind 3 things for which you are genuinely grateful. Do not just list them mechanically. Try to feel the gratitude in your body. It could be the comfort of your bed, the love of a pet, a kind word someone shared with you, a meal you enjoyed. By deliberately focusing on the good, you are retraining your brain to notice abundance rather than lack. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. If you train it to look for reasons to be grateful, it will find them everywhere. This changes your entire experience of reality. Third, practice mindful consumption. This applies to everything: the food you eat, the content you consume, and yes, the way you spend your money. Before you make a purchase, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, am I buying this from a place of genuine need or joy, or am I trying to fill an emotional void? This simple pause can break the cycle of compulsive, unconscious spending that drains our resources and clutters our lives. Similarly, be mindful of the information you consume. Is the news, the social media, the entertainment you engage with leaving you feeling anxious and inadequate, or inspired and at peace? Be the guardian at the gate of your own mind. This is the real work. It is not glamorous. It does not promise instant results, but it is the only path to genuine, sustainable wealth, the wealth of a peaceful mind, an open heart, and a life lived with intention. This practice is the oar in your hands. The external world and its challenges are the currents of the river. You cannot always control the currents, but you can always choose to pick up your oars and steer. Every moment you choose stillness over chaos, gratitude over lack, and mindfulness over reactivity, you are rowing your boat toward the shore of true abundance. Finding stillness. In our pursuit of more money, more success, more things, we have created a world that is profoundly noisy, not just with audible sound, but with the noise of information, of constant stimulation, of endless demands on our attention. Our minds mirror this external environment, becoming chaotic, fragmented, and perpetually agitated. In this state of inner turmoil, it is impossible to access the wisdom and clarity that are our birthright. We are like a person trying to see their reflection in a turbulent, storm-tossed lake. All they can see is the chaos. The practice of finding stillness is the act of allowing the waters of the lake to calm. It is not something you force. You cannot command the water to be still. You can only create the conditions for stillness to arise. You do this by ceasing to throw stones into it. The stones are your reactive thoughts, your compulsive checking of your phone, your constant worrying about the future and ruminating on the past. The practice is to simply sit by the shore of your own being and allow the sediment to settle. When the mind becomes still, even for a few moments, everything changes. You begin to see your reflection clearly. You begin to understand the true nature of your desires, as we discussed earlier. You see that the frantic grasping for money is not about the money itself, but about a deeper fear or longing. In the stillness, you can look at this fear with compassion without being consumed by it. Clarity arises. You start to see solutions to your problems that were invisible before, obscured by the noise of your panic. This stillness is the fertile ground from which all true abundance grows. Think of a business leader who must make a critical decision. If their mind is clouded by fear and pressure, they are likely to make a reactive, poor choice. But if they can access a place of inner stillness, they can see the situation with a calm, wide perspective and make a choice rooted in wisdom. Their ability to access that stillness is their greatest asset, far more valuable than the capital in their company's bank account. This applies to every area of life. This stillness is also where you connect with a deeper sense of self, a self that is not defined by your job, your possessions, or your bank balance. It is the silent, aware presence that has been with you your entire life. Connecting with this presence is like coming home. It is the source of profound security and peace. When you feel this inner anchor, your desperate need for external validation and security begins to fall away. You are no longer tossed about by the waves of praise and blame, success and failure. You have found a stability that is unshakable because it is internal. So the prayer we are seeking is, in many ways, a prayer for stillness. It is the intention to quiet the noise, to calm the waters, so that we may see what is true. This is where you find the answers you seek, not from an external voice, but from the deep, quiet wisdom that resides within you. This is the source of all creativity, all intuition, all right action. Cultivating access to this inner space is the most important work you can ever do. It is the master key that unlocks all the other doors, including the door to material well-being.